graduation ceremony of the University of South Africa in 2021. I'd like to extend a special welcome to Unisa management, particularly Professor Meiwa, Vice President of Research, Postgraduate Studies, Innovation and Commercial Business. Professor S. Mukaka, Registrar and Acting Vice Principal, Operations and Facilities. Professor McKay, Principal for Teaching and Learning, Dr. P. Neza, Regional Director, and then representatives of colleges, Professor Mabunda, Deputy Dean of the College of Education, Professor O.J. College, Acting Executive Dean for College of Law, Professor K. Masimola, Executive Dean, College of Human Sciences, Dr. T.E. Benzalele, Acting Director, School of Public Management, Professor S.R. Mahanu, Executive Dean, College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences, Dr. M. Samwani, Acting Deputy Executive Dean, College of Accounting Sciences, Mr. A.E. Nobaki, Acting Academic Director, Graduate School of Business Studies, and that is I'd like as a principal and vice chancellor of the University of South Africa. I feel the honor and delight to be the vice chancellor hosting you all in this gathering. As the vice chancellor and principal of the university, I am especially thankful and appreciative for the singular honor to host the first physical graduation ceremony in 2021 after a much unexpected disruptions of COVID-19 pandemic in the past 2 years. Africa is rejoicing with us, South Africa is rejoicing with us today, and the world is rejoicing with us as we witness the occasion of the great day of the graduation that Unisa deserves and yourself deserve. Before we proceed any further, I feel it is fitting to take a brief moment of silence in honor of staff and students who lost their lives to the COVID pandemic in the past 2 years, but also their families and dearest departed souls in their rest of peace. At this point, please, may I request all of us to stand. I apologize that one of you did not vote for us. So I apologize to the students and then we can start the time. Colleagues, I apologize for that. May we take a moment of silence of dignity for those lives that have been lost, our families, our friends, colleagues, students, staff of the University of South Africa who might have lost their lives. Thank you. Universities by themselves are social institutions. Please may we sit at colleagues. Thank you. I truly apologize that we were interrupted whilst we were trying to bid farewell family, friends, colleagues and students or staff who had lost their lives. I just wanted to at least remind us that universities by nature are social institutions that are formed by countries, societies, in order that they become the locus of educated society.
They are also set up to ensure that they train leaders, academic and intellectual leaders who contribute to society in multiplicities of ways through their research, engaged scholarship, as well as the impact they make in society through their education and research. And as such, scholars such as Mukandawiri remind us that African universities must be at the center of shaping Africa's present and the future, taking into cognizance the challenges that this continent and this country would have undertaken of colonialism, apartheid, neocolonialism that sometimes expresses itself through the nominal access to opportunities that many in society, whether led by governments of the left or the right, often encounter in the continent but also in the global arena. As such, when we celebrate graduation, we recognize that it is in the quest of wisdom and knowledge that those of you who would walk through the corridors of universities are given a prestigious opportunity to expressing your talents, but as well to ensuring that you participate in shaping the future. By their very own nature, graduations are prestigious, they are official, they remain the fanfare that marks the celebration of the life each academic institution, ours included, goes through. The University of South Africa, not being an exception, appreciates the success of its students who have studied their master's and doctoral degrees. Through its many decades of existence, and indeed in the unwavering commitment to fulfilling its missional mandate, Unisa has consistently and unswervingly provided access to education to those who could not have the luxury or resources to study in the contact institution, whether because of financial reasons or because of time. Without fail, Unisa continues to do so today. The University of South Africa is thus a dynamic player and a leader in the forefront of comprehensive open distance learning institutions in our country, in the continent, and in the world. As a university, we're committed to excellence as we shape intellectual futures in the service of humanity. As your principal and vice chancellor, I'm committed to activating, enhancing, and implementing the academic project, particularly its expressions in teaching and learning, research and innovation, and engaged scholarship. I hope to do this with the management team that's sitting here, but also all of yourself who are players and stakeholders within the university, but also in the public. Hence, the joyous research, the joyous moments such as these, of rewarding the hard work of the graduate and diplomats, are pleasing and refreshing reminder that the goal of the academic project has been achieved, namely access with success. I'm thus elated to welcome each of you to this grand ceremony of graduation of the University of South Africa. We take pride in the contribution that South Africa requires of us through our aspiration in the National Development Plan. We are informed that the rollout of graduate which is distinctly synonymous with our production of the much needed human resources, academic cadres, will equip you to ensuring and addressing the intellectual aptitude that should enable you to address the challenges that face our country, the continent, and the world at large. You'd be aware that in the recent times, issues around the place of Africa in the global arena within this environment of KZN became a clear area of engagement by multiplicities of countries that congregated here just in the past week. You'd also know that the challenges of COP26, climatic changes, environmental challenges that we are experiencing in the world have become important sites of our attention, and it is thus important that you, as a student of Unisa, who will be graduating today, find yourselves and your horizons not only here in our country, but in the global arena. Ladies and gentlemen, be it noted that this graduation ceremony is one of the many planned series of graduations in South Africa and in SADC region. Some of these have been held in virtual mode due to the challenges posed by the pandemic we are facing, but the academic project stood the course throughout. This evening, we definitely are looking forward to conferring multiplicities of degrees, but also to congratulating those of you who would have done their research and worked hard in order that you deserve the graduation that you will be honored from Unisa. I thank my colleagues, but also yourselves, your families, for honoring the invitation for their graduations. So thank you. May I request Professor S.R. Mahanu to deliver the Chancellor's address, please? Thank you, Professor Mahanu.
Vice-Chancellor and Principal of the University of South Africa, Professor Buleng Lengabula, Vice Principal Research, Postgraduate Studies and Commercialization, Professor Tenjiwe Meiwa, Vice Principal Teaching and Learner Support, as well as Community Engagement, Professor Veronica McKay, the Registrar of the University of South Africa, Professor Stewart Mutata, Deans, Deputy Deans, and representatives of colleges present here, Dr. Pilisile Mieza, the Regional Director, Directors of Schools. It truly gives me the greatest of pleasures to share with you, particularly with those who will be receiving their degree certificates this afternoon, a few thoughts that I deem to be pertinent on an occasion such as this. Graduation is always a joyous occasion laden with excitement on account of the accomplishments of those who are graduating. However, not only is graduation an event full of excitement, but also it signals the onset of a new journey in the lives of those graduating, a journey largely typified by added responsibilities and expectations. Obviously, these heightened responsibilities and expectations result from the recognition of the high levels of education and skills the graduates would have amassed over their period of study. It is therefore important that I should also add my voice of congratulations to those who were made by the Vice-Chancellor. You have done well as the graduates of Unisa, and you have every reason to be proud about your accomplishments. Congratulations. With the knowledge and skills you possess as university graduates, you become an essential component of the national system of innovation and industrialized societies. Also, as university graduates, you are empowered and occupy a vantage position undergirded by your knowledge and skills from which you are expected to make meaningful contributions towards enhancing quality and sustainable livelihoods in your communities and the broader society. These expectations are clearly envisioned and advocated in South Africa's 2030 National Development Plan and the African Union's Agenda 2063. In actual fact, the Africa we want, which among other aspirations is a prosperous Africa that is based on inclusive growth and sustainable development, will not be realized without having a cadre of men and women who, through the knowledge and skills they have acquired in their studies, will contribute meaningfully towards knowledge economy by also producing new knowledge that provides solutions to the new challenges which confront our continent. For an example, the negative impact of climate change on our already constrained agricultural and natural resources, such as water, accentuates an appeal to Africa to be innovative by designing smart agricultural strategies and practices which will guarantee sustainability in the midst of hostile environmental conditions. In addition, the advent of the fourth industrial revolution is contributing towards the complexity of the challenges which confront the African continent. In light of these considerations, Vice Chancellor, it is important for us as a university to ensure that the students we produce are equipped to contend successfully with these compelling realities. That is the reason why, Vice Chancellor, in addition to reworking the curriculum in our university to make it relevant for the challenges of the 21st century, most of the scientists and researchers in our university are hard at work, collaborating with relevant government entities and research councils to find solutions for these myriad of challenges that confront our continent. It is needless for me to describe in detail the dire need for knowledgeable and skilled human resources in South Africa and the rest of the African continent. It is unfortunate that Africa is to a large extent still reliant on external multinationals from either China, USA, or Europe, for European countries rather, particularly in STEM fields, that is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics in terms of skill. Looking at the enormity of these realities, it makes sense for us, Vice Chancellor, to be excited when Unisa produces yet another cohort of graduates who will strengthen the combat against the challenges which bedevil our African continent. We are therefore truly grateful this afternoon to bear witness and to congratulate the class of 2020-2021 for persisting up until this end. In his book entitled License to Live, a manual for getting past life's roadblocks, Elvin Dowling, one of the acclaimed African-American authors, asserts that, and I quote, "It does not matter how you start out in life. It is where you end up that counts." Close quote. Consistent with this assertion by Elvin Dowling, some of you may have had humble beginnings, but nonetheless, through your commitment and industriousness, you have defied the harsh realities of your origins and are well on course to attain greater heights. You have championed all the obstacles and challenges that seek to characterize tertiary education, more especially under comprehensive open distance learning context. Indeed, yours is a feat worth to be appreciated and celebrated. It is my earnest desire that this moment of success in your lives that we bear witness to this afternoon should profoundly signal the beginning rather than the end of more successes in your lives. Now that you are armed with knowledge, your journey beyond this graduation should be characterized largely by the meaningful contributions which you will be making in the lives of other people. It is not sufficient to acquire knowledge just for self-benefit. But most importantly, once acquired, knowledge should be used to transform and to build the lives of other people. I want to emphasize that knowledge which does not improve and enhance the quality of life is of no value. Solomon in the book of Proverbs chapter 25 verse 14 says, and I quote, "Like clouds in the sky, so is a man or a woman who boasts of gifts he or she does not give or share." Solomon describes a disappointing observation in nature. He says, although some clouds contain water as the rest of the clouds do, they do not release the water to nourish the earth in spite of the earth being dry. The dry earth is waiting with an expectation for the clouds to release water. Yet such clouds do not do that. Consistent with Solomon's observation, in your years of study at Unisa, clouds were formed in your lives. These are clouds of knowledge and skills. Now that they are formed, it is opportune time that the water contained in these clouds be released to nourish South Africa and the rest of the African continent. South Africa and the rest of the African continent remains dry and yearns for nourishment and refreshment by the knowledge and the skills that you possess. Once more, as a university graduate, more so as a Unisa graduate, you must make it your duty to shape futures by being of good service to other people. Serving people is not only about doing great things, it is equally about doing small things in a great way, as Martin Luther King Jr. once indicated. Doing small things in a great way may mean being a mentor to that child in your street who desperately needs someone to identify with. It may be availing yourself as a tutor to students in your community who are struggling with the subjects that you have specialized in. Yes, it may be providing motivation to young people so that they become passionate about education. As I wind up on my brief presentation, please remember that Africa is dry and it yearns for nourishment. It is the knowledge and skills you possess which can nourish Africa. John Mason, in his book entitled An Enemy Called Average, talks about two moments in life when people stop moving. He says, the first moment when people cease moving is during their moment of failure. I'm quite alert to the fact that you have succeeded in your studies. However, it is not a guarantee that going forward beyond this moment, you won't face moments of failure. Instead of looking at failure as a golden opportunity to learn and prepare yourself for the future, most people, unfortunately, abort their dreams and they give up. John Mason says the second moment that is very important where people stop moving is in their moment of success. Instead of allowing success to propel them into the future to yearn for more success, they allow success to intoxicate them and they end up being paralyzed. It is very important that you focus ahead, that you do not stop in your moment of success. Lastly, Bill Hybels and Rob Wilkins wrote a book entitled Descending into Greatness. Now, when you look at the title of this book, learned people in English, and we have Professor Masemola here, who is a professor of English language, would tell you that the title is an oxymoron. It is contradictory in messaging. But Bill Hybels and Rob Wilkins are saying, you must know how to descend to greatness. You do not have to ascend to greatness. And descending to greatness implores one to be of service to other people. As the Chinese adage would say, the way to the throne room is through the servants' quarters. It is important that you embrace the notion of servant leadership as and when you grow from one rung of the academic ladder to the other. Please be alert and take note of the wisdom of our forebears when they cautioned by saying, o se bone nong go rakalala godimo go ya tlase ke ga yona. Even though a vulture will rise into the expanse of the sky, even though it will glide in the greater heights, it always goes down. That is a very, very important aspect of life which you should embrace. I thank you and congratulations.
May I request that we give Professor Mahano a round of applause for that powerful message. It is not only shared with the graduates today, but also the families, for he is emphasizing that knowledge requires us to be servants of society and to ensure that we resource society for the better, not just ourselves. So thank you very much, Professor Mahano. Ladies and gentlemen, before we start the conferment of degrees, may I kindly request a few house matters, which I think will make this important event dignified. The first is, please enjoy the evening, celebrate. We are aware that we are Africans, and the university exists within the African continent. So we express our jubilations in the way that we as Africans do. You are welcome to ululate, to be jubilant, but to do so in a way that does not disrupt the event. You're also requested to ensure that your mobile phone is on silent. We understand that you may have urgent matters to attend to. The last request that we would like to make is to really request you not to leave the hall before the end of the ceremony. We are also live and therefore request you to be attentive to the etiquette that being live requires. Let me take this opportunity, colleagues, to acknowledge by virtues of the powers entrusted to me, I shall now proceed to confer the degrees of the university on the candidates whose names appear in the program. And I request the representatives from the colleges to present the candidates to me.
Vice Chancellor, it is my pleasure to introduce Thobeka Pilile Khumalo to you. Her supervisor is Professor Tsilo, and I will request the Professor Tsilo to read the citation in conferment of the degree.
In her thesis titled Phenotypic and Molecular Analysis of Pre-harvest Sprouting and Yield-Related Traits in two double haploid populations of wheat, Triticum oestivom, she investigated genes that influence pre-harvest sprouting in South African bred wheat cultivars and identified DNA-based methods that can be used to trace the genes when improving both grain yield and end-use quality of South African wheat. The study gives insight on prospects of breeding commercial wheat cultivars that have strong vegetative vigor, together with increased tolerance to pre-harvest sprouting and aluminium toxicity. Her findings will contribute to the improvement of grain yield and quality of wheat to ensure food security in South Africa and in several other parts of the world. Parts of this work have been presented in conferences and published in several journals.
Madam Vice Chancellor, it is my honor to request you to confer on Thobeka Pilile Khumalo the degree of Doctor of Philosophy.
Madam Vice Chancellor, I have the honor to introduce to you Sundara Devi Motian for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. The candidate supervisor was Professor K.A. Mabor, and the co-supervisor was Professor L. Roots. And it is now my privilege to read the citation in support of the conferment of the doctoral degree. In her thesis entitled The Concept Nursing, a Visual Concept Map for Teaching, she noted the difference of understanding and interpretation of the concept nursing by the different categories of nurses. She aimed to develop a concept map that could assist nurse educators in explaining the concept nursing to students, ensuring a similar understanding, meaning, and interpretation thereof. She developed a visual concept map validated by nurse educators for utilization in teaching practice. As a teaching tool, this concept map can assist nurse educators in explaining the meaning and interpretation of the concept of nursing to students and ensure a common understanding within the nursing fraternity. Madam Vice Chancellor, I have the honor to request you to confer on Sundara Devi Motian the degree of Doctor of Philosophy.
Madam Vice Chancellor, I have the honor to introduce to you Michael Togara Tigere for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. The supervisor was Professor T. Nechi Tangani, and it is now my privilege to read the citation in support of the conferment of the degree. In his thesis entitled Perceptions of School Management Teams on Information and Communication Technology Integration in Township and Rural Schools in KwaZulu-Natal, he explores the perceptions of school management teams on ICT, information and communication technology integration in their schools. The study reveals that although schools experience serious challenges, school management teams are positive about the implementation of information and communication technology integration in their schools. His findings constitute an original and valuable contribution to the body of knowledge in the field of educational leadership, as the use of information and communication technology in schools is top of the global agenda. Madam Vice Chancellor, I have the honor to request you to confer on Michael Togara Tigere the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Madam Vice-Chancellor, in her thesis entitled Secondary School Learners' Experiences in Disruptive Behavior that Lead to Encounters with Teachers, Naika Sandra thoroughly explores 16 unruly secondary school learners' perspectives of disorderly behavior in a school in KwaZulu-Natal. Data collected by interviewing these learners and analyzing their disciplinary records show that encounters with teachers have a negative impact on the well-being of the learners when handled inappropriately. She provides pointers for a school-based support facility and makes a valuable contribution by designing a training program for teachers to manage emotions and relationships in challenging classroom situations. Madam Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to request you to confer on Sandra Naika the degree of Doctor of Philosophy.
Madam Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to introduce to you Nkululeko Fuyane for the degree Doctor of Commerce. The candidate supervisors were Prof. M.L. van Skiers and co-supervisor Prof. K.M. Makita. In his thesis entitled The Influence of Consumer Potential Values on Airline Choice Within South African Domestic Market, he employs personal values to extend and provide the reasons why airline service attributes are important to passengers. He uses a quantitative explanatory research design to examine and identify consumer, in brackets, passenger, personal values that underpin the evaluation of airline service attributes used to choose an airline within South African domestic passenger market. He makes a valuable contribution by identifying the most important airline service attributes customers to use to evaluate and choose airlines. Madam Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to request you to confer on Nkululeko Fuyane the degree of Doctor of Commerce.
Madam Vice Chancellor, I have the honor to introduce to you Nishal Bial for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. I was the candidate supervisor, and it is now my privilege to read the citation in support of the conferment of the degree. In his thesis entitled A Comparative Study of the Grade 8 Science Curricula between South Africa, Botswana and Singapore, a reflection on Tim's achievement from 2007 to 2015. He finds that the physics content alignment between Singapore and the trends in maths and science study, TIMS, is greater than that of South Africa and Botswana, particularly in higher order thinking skills. He recommends adding content and cognitive complexity aligned with the TIMS to the CAPS curricula, specifically in the physics domain, removing physics content that is outdated and irrelevant and increasing physics content that requires higher order thinking skills. This will promote thinking skills across all continent and cognitive domains, which may improve TIM's performance. Madam Vice Chancellor, I have the honor to request you to confirm on Nishal Bial the degree of Doctor of Philosophy.
Madam Vice Chancellor, I have the honor to introduce to you Charlene Padayashi for the degree of Doctor of Business Leadership. The candidate supervisor was Professor S. Henning, and it is now my privilege to read the citation in support of the conferment of the degree. In her thesis entitled A Positive Psychology Framework for Personal and Organizational Leadership Branding, she presents a comprehensive perspective on leadership as a brand by combining theory and empirical data using qualitative research methodology. This study contributes to the development of leadership and practice and in theory. As a practical solution, the two dimensions of leading self and leading others offer insight into how leaders influence their own leadership brand and as well as the organization they lead. Building on an appreciative inquiry method, she makes a significant contribution to the theories of positive psychology. Madam Vice Chancellor, I have the honor to request you to confer on Charlene Padayashi the degree of business leadership.
We have the honor to confer your doctoral degree really extend a congratulatory message to yourselves. Thank you. Don't feel like we were distant. Thank you. Professor Malunga?
Thank you. Thank you, VC. Madam Vice Chancellor, the following candidates receive the degree of Master of Education. Sibia Hlengiwe Cynthia. Kula Zolega. Gunene Figile Nomusa Grace. Moyo Kumbulani. Zide Nkosinathi Kennedy. Matthews Yvonne Elke. Mhlongo Nduduzo Fortune. Kahia Antoinette Mary.
Madam Vice Chancellor, the following candidates receives the degree Master of Commerce. Ntokozo Sithokozile Ngashi. Rosemary Buhle Makanya. Madam Vice Chancellor, Vusumuzi Zwelakhe Jacob Zwane receives the degree Master of Public Administration.
Madam Vice Chancellor, The following candidates received the degree of Master of Accounting Sciences. Belaram Avantika. Msomi Swusiso Desmond.
Madam Vice Chancellor, the following candidates received the degree of Master of Arts. Okay. Chirusha Rambarath. Thank you. Nompilo Bridget Zondi. Jenny Naika. Zama Judith Mzobe. Thank you. Zolishe Blessing Shongwe with the Masters in Public Health.
Madam Vice Chancellor, the following candidates received the degree of Master of Science. Arilal Lorica. Mkhwanazi Bongiwe. Zwane Felix Thabo.
Madam Vice Chancellor, the following candidates receive the degree of Master of Laws. Harry Lionel David. Ramsamuj Janine. Delio Emil Joseph Cheslane. Madam Vice Chancellor Lionel David. Madam Vice Chancellor, the following candidate receives the degree of Master of Law, Hlengwa Mlondolozi Bonga Prince.
Madam Vice Chancellor, Praveen Ayuna Naidu, is that you? Receives the degree of Master of Science. Congratulations. Madam Vice Chancellor, Cohen Farad Hossain receives the degree of Magister Technology. Congratulations. Oh, are you with her? Sarusi. I'm sorry, there must have been a problem because this is Cohen Farad Hossain. Receives the degree of Magister Technology. So Wani Timothy.
Madam Vice Chancellor, the following candidates receive the degree of Master of Business Administration. Danielle Chanez.
Madam Vice Chancellor, Ousu Michael Yo receives the degree of Master of Education.
Graduations are not somber. I had hoped for more ululations, more celebrations, and may I therefore take this opportunity before I do my address to really request you to give them a wondrous round of applause. You timed it. May you please continue. It's a celebration. I didn't hear the ululations. I truly am elated and would like to congratulate our graduates who received their doctoral degrees of philosophy. May I request you to stand up, to really stand up, and that we celebrate you, those who were getting their doctoral degrees today. May you please stand up? May I request you to really thank you. Thank you very much. You may be seated. At Unisa, we take pride in contributing to the National Development Plan in the informed rollout of graduates that are distinctly synonymous with our production of much-needed human resources. We recognize that you who are graduating today help us as a country to align ourselves with the requirements of the National Development Plan in its aspiration to helping our society in South Africa to contributing towards the knowledge economy in order to transform our society in the 21st century globalization, digitalization systems, the shifts in the multiplicities of systems that Professor Mahanu earlier talked about. Therefore, those of you that I asked to stand up, I really meant to table to our guardians, partners, friends, children, sisters and friends, and the public that is not in attendance, that your graduation with your doctoral degrees is not just a PhD for yourself, but it is that which is agreeable with our own developmental aspirations as a country. I also wanted to reaffirm the idea that you're not only resourcing South Africa, but the horizon is larger for you with your graduate degree. It allows you to search for opportunities all over the world, representing the best that South Africa offers, but also that Africa offers in the global knowledge arena. It is cadres that are knowledgeable, such as you, that we request to ensure that
With your knowledge, you benefit society. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to enjoin my congratulatory message to those who graduated today with their master's degree, but also encouraging them to understanding that the aspirations I talked about, stated in the National Development Plan, but also in the Agenda 2063 of the African Union, including our aspirations in the world as expressed by the Sustainable Development Goals, become important imperatives for graduates today. So if you are graduating with your master's today, these professors sitting here at stage have requested me to tell you that you haven't even finished. You must register for your PhD so that those aspirations are fulfilled also in you. This afternoon, I conferred degrees and awarded diverse masters to students who have satisfied the academic standards set by the University of South Africa, supported by the Council of Higher Education and the Department of Higher Education. I'm privileged to be able to heartily congratulate the degrees candidates and your spouses, your families, your friends, your colleagues who encouraged you to traverse the journey that you undertook as you pursued your master's and your doctoral degrees. All is not lost, but a lot has been gained by your pursuit of knowledge, and it is very important that as you celebrate your graduation, you understand that you are part of the 378,000 students that Unisa registers, that you will be part of its alumni, an ambassador, a representative of how Unisa would like to shape futures in the world and in our country. This graduation is part of the 29 graduation ceremonies that the University of South Africa has been hosting and will be hosting in these months. As I congratulate you, 2021 class, I wish you really all the best with your families, to understanding that your education and the knowledge that you have garnered for yourselves is not just for yourselves and your families, must be utilized for the benefit of the country, continent, and the world, as Unisa often and constantly encourages you. We therefore, colleagues, share this great joy and excitement and congratulate you all for partaking in our very first physical spring graduation ceremony at Unisa. Please enjoy the evening with us and celebrate the achievements of your loved ones, and definitely ensure that we celebrate. So at this moment, I'd like to take the opportunity to request all of you who have graduated to stand, and your families to clap and ululate for you whilst you're standing, and they will be sitting. May you stand up? Thank you. Whilst you are standing, it would be constructive, if not great, for you to look at them, to wave your degrees, to remind them of the prayers, the thoughts, the meditations, the encouragement that enabled you to being resilient, because we understand that a master's degree and a PhD are not easy. So at this point, please look towards them. reaffirm the commitment that they made to you as you pursued this, and show them what you got today. Thank you very much. You may be seated. We appreciate your graduation today. Thank you very much. You can still clap for them. At this point, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, now that you've graduated, you've become part of Unisa alumni, you're now part of its illustrious circle of excellence. Your responsibility is to contribute and help define tomorrow, as our signature often invites you. There are many things you can do to help shape the future in the service of humanity. Key amongst this is really to ensure, in line and in solidarity with our former President Mandela, that you promote education as a lever for changing our society for the better and contributing to economic transformation. The second request that we have is for you as an ambassador and alumni of Unisa to ensure that you contribute and participate at Unisa. Part of your participation as alumni is in convocation, where graduates of Unisa, many of them, including the former President Mandela, Ramaphosa, President Mbeki, President Bob Mugabe, and many others leading figures in the political, economic, and social leaders. That you are that illustrious will require you to ensuring that this university that you participated in also becomes the future university for many who seek to pursue their education. You can also become an e-tutor or an associate and publish with or by yourself for the benefit of Unisa. You can continue your lifelong journey with the College of Graduate Studies and produce knowledge that will last and help society. Lastly, given that you're now going to be not having only rands, kwachas, Zim dollars, but you're also going to be having dollars, yawns, euros, and others through your research and your work that you contribute and donate to the University of South Africa's Bursary Fund, which we use the platform www.unisa.ac.za and go to donate button. This is quite important because as a worthy graduate of the university, we are sure that you realize the value of your degree and also wish to provide solidarity with deserving students with an opportunity to study further, become part of a circle of excellence, and contribute to Unisa. So are you going to give those dollars and euros and kwachas and rands, colleagues? You have to. We have to stand with those who need our solidarity. Ladies and gentlemen, after the announcements that are going to be made, I would like us to stand for the national anthem and therefore wish to request if there are any announcements that we do them so that we can rise and sing the national anthem. May we then sing the national anthem, the words of which are to be found in page 14 of the program and remain standing after the anthem to enable me to dissolve the congregation. You are also requested to remain standing whilst after that the academic procession leaves. May I request that we do so, please, to stand for the national anthem. By virtue of powers entrusted to me, I dissolve this congregation of the University of South Africa.